So, Doctor Who Series 11 finally aired its initial episode, and what's the verdict? This will be spoiler free until the end, where I'll touch on some thoughts I can't discuss without addressing some mild plot points, but I'll still be vague. So, for the first few minutes, the Doctor isn't even in the episode. The screen time goes to developing the new companions, and rightly so in my opinion. Ryan Sinclair, Yasmin Khan, Graham and Grace O'Brien are all introduced with some staple character traits to differentiate them, and I found them likeable enough. With such a large cast of companions being all introduced at once, I was worried that some may be underdeveloped or fall by the wayside, defaulting to just a passive spectator. In fact, there wasn't a character I disliked in the episode, except one whose name I can't remember, but he's only in it for the one episode and I can see why he's the way he is for narrative reasons, so meh. The enemy and the overall plot for the episode was serviceable, but just that. With much of the time given to the development of the main cast, a more complex plot would have served to muddy the focus of the episode. In a nutshell, a couple of strange objects appear, followed by the freshly regenerated Doctor, and they have to figure out how it's all related. One thing they do very well is explain what the Doctor is doing for the most part. They identify the baddie's point of origin and show how she discovered it, not simply the Doctor looking at them and going, "That's a bladder whacker from Marmite 4 or whatever. I know this because I know things." Of course, it makes sense for the Doctor to have a large knowledge base, but I feel that Doctor Who of the revival years has often had its deductions and the like hand-waved away with the excuse, because he's the Doctor. It's gotten better over the years, but nonetheless I was worried for a slide back into lazy writing, and with so much to cram into the opening episode already, this was genuinely a concern of mine. There is also no mention of the legendary status of the Doctor being this cosmic force of justice, which I can do without, thanks very much. Personal preference, but I like the Doctor without the reputation and infamy, which is what this show seems to prefer too, so far. Now, what about Jodie Whittaker herself as the Doctor? From the moment she was announced, I was worried that they'd played too much on the whole "look, it's a woman" angle, but they don't. It gets mentioned in passing early on, and a joke later on, and even actively plays with any preconceived assumptions that viewers may have. Her portrayal of the Doctor reminds me most of a Jon Pertwee era, with a hands-on approach to everything. This current loss of the TARDIS and all equipment puts her back to basics, and I expect this more grounded approach to solving problems to continue, at least until she relocates her TARDIS, which seems to be the overarching narrative thread. Like I say, I enjoy this tinkerer deductive style number 13 brings to the table, as it allows us to be there with her as she works her way through problems. The companions too aren't there to gawk and for the Doctor to rant to. Well, not only that, but each actually contributes to the struggle, and what's more, the Doctor encourages this rather than belittling the help, as we've seen before. Okay, on to the mild spoilers now. Skip ahead to this time frame if you like. The baddie itself looks cool, and as a viewer I was making the same assumptions as the Doctor herself as the narrative unfolded, thinking that it was two factions at first, or maybe a bounty hunter. The final defeat of Zimshar, the Stenson hunter and wannabe predator, was a bit of a letdown, as the series hasn't quite got completely out of the habit of its Deus Ex Machina victories, and the overall resolution was a bit underwhelming. But again, the baddie wasn't where the focus was. We get a good description of what it's like mentally to undergo a regeneration, and the state of mind the Doctor is in as she feels like she's drifting towards her new persona, trying to find herself. As for the end of the episode, I was wondering why there were so many companions this time, and I like how they've addressed this. I imagine there's going to be some, let's say, tension on the next episode. One thing that I found sad though is that the Doctor seems to retain the pain and guilt over the loss of everything Time Lord, as when she's asked about any family, she answers honestly and curtly. Even the line about not having bought girls' clothes for a long time, initially played off as a funny comment for the viewers who are aware of previous regenerations, made me smile sadly as I realised that one time the Doctor had a granddaughter, ergo a family. As for that cliffhanger, yeah, I honestly found it funny. I mean, there's obviously no actual danger here, but it was unexpected and I laughed out loud at the situation. I don't know if I was supposed to be worried, but no, I wasn't. Overall, this episode feels like a reintroduction of the character, but without the luggage of previous series. No Daleks, no Cybermen, no Ood, no oncoming storm, or even a TARDIS. Whether or not the foregoing of all the iconic creatures associated with Who will prove successful is too early to tell. Whittaker's Doctor makes a big point of saying that she's still learning who she is, as any post-regeneration Doctor has before her, but from her initial appearance, it seems she's going to be more of a street-level hero than a cosmic demigod that the new Who seems to be infatuated with creating. I am relieved to see that the series won't be limited to Earth either, and I hope the tone of the show continues. I walked away from the closing credits with the new theme, that I like, thinking that I do enjoy the new ensemble cast, and there is a continued increase in diversity of characters. Now let me be clear, I'm not saying that is a bad thing, not by any means. I'm only saying that I noticed it when I don't usually notice things like that. But I also kind of find it weird we haven't had a Doctor of Colour yet either, so ultimately it should have no bearing on the show, as long as I still enjoy it. Diversify away. But that's a whole can of worms I'd rather open another time. 7 out of 10. The plot could have been better, but I'm glad it didn't risk overloading the audience and instead chose to tighten its focus on the character's introduction. The Doctor is back, and in many ways this back-to-basics approach preludes perhaps a reflection of earlier era classic Who. Thanks for listening. Let me know your opinion on the show, as I've yet to read any reviews or anything myself, so I've got no idea what public opinion is. Also, should I continue to review Series 11, as without a TV licence I have to journey to my parents' house and commandeer their PC, so it takes a bit more of an effort than normal and may not result in a routinely uploaded review. Just forewarning you. So, I've been Rick, and until next time, thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.